Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Data Ignite's PowerView webinar. We know you're all very busy, so we want to thank you for spending the next hour with us. We have some great information to share with you, and we hope you'll enjoy it. In the first section, we will show you PowerPivot and Tabular cubes, and then the majority of our webinar will then focus on the latest version of PowerView. Before we get started, I just wanted to mention that the webinar is muted so that you can enjoy the best audio. Also, we'll be tracking questions throughout, so please go to the GoToWebinar control panel that's in the upper right-hand side of your screen to enter any questions that you have and to communicate with our event planner. So let's go ahead and get started. I'd like to introduce Andy Kinnear. Andy is the Chief Technologist and Solutions Architect at Data Ignite. He is certified as a technologist and architect for Microsoft's Business Intelligence Suite, and he's also Kimball certified. Andy?
Thank you, Kathy, and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Let's dig right in. We want to make sure that everyone understands the purpose of the demonstration. We do want to demonstrate the full capabilities of PowerView and certainly its latest editions that came out in November of 2012. We do have two proof of concept sites that we used for clients that are in the search engine marketing industry and the import trade industry. So we'll be using those sites for the demonstration. We also want to discuss some of the architectural and design concerns and issues about PowerPivot and Tabular cubes. We'll explain a little about what Tabular cube is. We'll demonstrate PowerPivot and that Tabular relationship, show how the spreadsheet relates to the Tabular cube in the background. And then we'll show PowerPivot published up to a SharePoint site, and we'll weigh the pros and cons of that architecture. That is more or less when you get to share your documents with other people on SharePoint, and it's at what Microsoft would consider a departmental level there. From an enterprise level, and this is really a best practice, anytime you're using SharePoint with your PowerPivot spreadsheets and your tabular cubes is to create a tabular cube in Visual Studio in a development environment, publish that cube up to a database server, and have SharePoint connect to that database server. And the reason I mention all of this in terms of PowerPivot and tabular cubes is that PowerView dashboards right now only work off of one source, and that's a tabular cube, whether it's related to a PowerPivot spreadsheet or to a published tabular cube on a database server. So the last part of that is we will show how to connect to a tabular cube in SharePoint, in the SharePoint 2010 environment, and we'll create PowerView dashboards from that setup. BI for the masses is something that Microsoft is using as a mantra, and the idea behind this is the individual at any level of the organization should be able to do their own personal BI, and that's where PowerPivot comes in. So PowerPivot is a plug-in to Excel. It works on your local system, whether it's a PC or a laptop, and when you do use it, it creates and puts a tabular cube into memory. So it's very fast. It being a cube, it's compressed data, so you can fit a lot more data than normal Excel, and your response times are very quick. Departmental level BI, again, you can publish these up to SharePoint, but the data at that point will reside in the SharePoint server's memory. And the plus or minus there is now you'll have a single server, and it's got all the SharePoint services running. And if there are other users on SharePoint that are using it for other things, document management and the like, you can interfere with the performance level of that. So basically at the enterprise BI level, you want to have separate SharePoint servers and separate database servers, and have the services run on their own server so that you can scale out your deployments, and you'll have the best response times and reuse of server resources. So that brings us to what we're calling a tale of two cubes at this point. Microsoft has had multi-dimensional cubes, analysis services cubes, for about a dozen years now, and they've worked very well, a very popular product in the Microsoft suite. And some of the issues behind it must be at this point that they can't very easily put a multi-dimensional cube into memory. And one of the industry desires is to have all the data for querying in memory so that it has a very fast response time. If it's not hitting the disk, then it's going to be much faster. And by having it in memory, any type of calculations and roll-ups will happen much faster. So Microsoft created a separate type of cube, a tabular model cube, which is more similar to a database model. It involves tables instead of the multi-dimensional model, which is more involving dimensions and fact tables. For that reason, PowerView dashboards at this particular time can only use a tabular model cube. So there's decisions to be made in your own production environment whether you're going to have multi-dimensional cubes or tabular cubes. So let's take a look at what PowerPivot is. Let's go to spreadsheet. This is Excel, and I have PowerPivot plugin installed. So you can get a PowerPivot plugin for free from Microsoft. We'll give you that link at the end of the discussion. And when you do have that, you can create your tabular cubes. So in the background here, you have a PowerPivot window. And I'm not going to go into too much detail at this time. It's not the purpose of this webinar. But this is what a tabular cube looks like as it's connected to Excel. And we have here different dimensions here and a couple of different fact tables involved here. And then once you complete your setup here, and you can see there's a lot of work done, especially in calculated measures and using DAX formulas, which are the querying language for tabular cubes and Excel. Once you do all the work to set it up, and you do have to do some work here to set these things up, then you can go back to Excel and play with the data. So if I highlight this particular chart here, you can see over here we have all these the tabular cube dimensions and fact tables here listed so that I could put them down. And we created these charts, more of a dashboard for our search engine marketing client, and a couple of different workbooks here, another dashboard type thing, and then we also have a table here with, and as you notice, these are data bars here, which is something that's part of Microsoft Excel, not necessarily PowerPivot. You do get all the functionality of Excel when you're doing the PowerPivot spreadsheets. So it's a nice way to be able to do some good analysis here. If you can mash up the data, you're taking data from different sources to create that tabular cube. You create the relationships amongst the data, and then you can publish the tabular or create the tabular cube just by moving to the spreadsheet, creating a table or a chart, and then you can do these slicers here, which, as you can see, if I move from 2012 to 2011, there's a lot of calculations happening. It's almost happening instantaneously, very fast performance. So I don't want to get too much into PowerPivot and tabular cubes at this level. I do want to show, if you publish up a PowerPivot spreadsheet to a SharePoint site, and here we're going to a PowerPivot gallery. And this particular proof of concept for the search engine marketing industry was basically, I'll just show this quick here. This is the gallery, the carousel view. It's a nice way to jump back and forth between documents. Gives a little visual sense of what PowerView is capable of. From a more realistic perspective, you can go into the gallery view here. It's a different view of the same documents. With this particular proof of concept, what we've done is we've published up this spreadsheet, and you can see we're having a problem here with our picture, our logo, but we published up the spreadsheet, and from that we can now create more spreadsheets, and we can create PowerView reports. You can also schedule this data here to refresh. So if we wanted to refresh the data every night or every week, we could schedule it, and then when users come into the site, they can access fresh data. So what we're looking at now is a PowerPivot gallery, and we've used this spreadsheet as the source of data, and people can publish up their own PowerPivots to the site and share it. It is a SharePoint site, SharePoint 2010, and security is managed by SharePoint. So if you want people to just edit these Or if you wanted them just to have view privileges and not edit privileges, you could have that. And you can also hide or show data connections and allow people to use different data connections. This is part of Microsoft's BI Center in terms of keeping all its business intelligence stuff in one particular place. So I wanted to show this portion of it. This is where BI becomes now a department level. You can share it amongst other teams. They can go in and use this very successfully as it is. But once again, we have the SharePoint server running. When you do look into this PowerPivot spreadsheet here, it is now putting the data on the SharePoint server itself. So whereas before the data was working on your local system when it was in Excel, it's now up on the SharePoint server, and the data has moved into the SharePoint server's data space, memory. That is a good thing and a bad thing. So you can have, you can share amongst other team members and whatnot, and for the most part it will work okay. But if you have more people putting up PowerPivot spreadsheets, then it's going to take another chunk of memory each time you do it. And that can become an issue very quickly anytime you start overusing server resources. And in particular, if you're looking at other people that are using SharePoint for other reasons, do they want their performance degraded because a lot of people are doing queries on a database? So the idea behind this is to go to then the enterprise level of BI here. And what you're doing is you're creating a cube in Visual Studio. You can see here we're in Visual Studio. This is what a Tabular cube project looks like in a development environment. And very similar in the sense of what we saw in Excel. You have tables that get brought in, the relationships get managed. There's a little bit of a different interface, and there are some things here like partitions that give you better control over data and the performance. But in essence, you bring in what you're doing is you're creating a Tabular cube in a development environment, and then you're publishing that Tabular cube up into a database server. So our database server here has a couple of instances. We have a SQL Server instance, and then we also have a Tabular instance called BISM Tabular. And that's where we're publishing up our cubes for this demonstration. So that being said, we're going to stop at this point and take some questions, and then we're going to move on into the PowerView demonstration. Okay, Kathy, do we have any questions out there?
We just had one question about whether the slides would be available after the webinar, and they will be available, and we're also recording this webinar, so we will also distribute the link to that also. But other than that, we have no questions, so please just continue to submit any questions you may have, and we'll just move on to the PowerView section of the webinar.
Okay, great, nice. Okay, for our trade import data proof of concept site, what we've done here is, again, we've created a couple of Tabular cubes. And in this particular case, we've created a Tabular cube that has all the detail down to the bill of lading, which is the grain of the record that comes in for this industry. And we also have a roll-up cube here. And the idea behind the roll-up is 80% of the data can be, or 80% of the reporting can come at say like the monthly level, where people roll up data to a month, and some of the detail level data is not necessary for rolled up information. So with our particular model here, we created a detail level cube so that all the information is available, and that takes up a bigger chunk of memory. And then we created a smaller one where it will save performance in terms of that. If we can do 80% of our dashboards and reporting off of this roll-up, it's going to react much faster than the fully detailed one. Both of them actually react very quickly, but in our particular case, when resources start getting used heavily, it's good to have a good design to maximize your server resources. And you can see here we have a connection to both. And once you have a connection to a tabular cube, they're both connected to that DB server BISM tabular instance. And from there we can open up Excel spreadsheets. It's not quite the same as PowerPivot, but it's very similar. It's got a connection in there to a tabular model cube. I'll just open this quick to show. Once I bring in this, it's opened up Excel on my local system, and now it's connected to the cube on my database server. So you can create your spreadsheets from there. You can disconnect and send the spreadsheets out once the data is in. I'm not going to go too far into that, but that is available. And then back to the site itself, the other thing here is PowerView, right? So from this connection, once you have it published in a PowerPivot gallery, you can now just click on here, and we're going to create a PowerView dashboard. For PowerView, what we're going to do first is try to show the functionality that's available to all the different elements out there. And then after that, we're going to go into a number of the different elements, being bar charts and maps and KPIs and the like. So to start, I'll just throw a quick table out here. Let's use US port maybe. All right, and then the particular measure here that's commonly used in import trade data is the TEU. And as you can see, a little dragging and dropping, and we have a table with the ports broken down by their TEU measure. And for tables, you can sort. We have it sorted right now A to Z. You can sort it from Z to A. Or you can sort on the TEU in the same way. You can have it ascending or descending, and you drag and drop here to get your formatting down. Let's put some more information out here. Let's go into, say, foreign port. Look at the trade lane hierarchy. Let's put trade lane out here. And let's take a look at a different, how about metric tons? All right, so you can see I'm just dragging trade lane on here to create a new table, and then metric tons as the measure. And for this particular one, we're going to go up here and make a horizontal bar chart out of this. So you're clicking on the element type up here. We have it sorted by trade lane, but let's sort it by metric tons and take a look. And again, resizing to make it a little more visible. Not going to put a lot of effort into design today. This is more functionality, but you can see how easy it is to manipulate these objects. PowerView is a Silverlight application. So Silverlight actually downloads to your local system, and then when you enter the SharePoint PowerPivot gallery, it's accessing that to work off of your laptop. So, but Silverlight then gives the ability to work with this on an internet site in a very fluid visual manner. Now, the first thing we can take a look at is some of the filtering that's available here. Let's take a look at commodity maybe, which is something we like to do. If I put, this is commodities here, you have the ability to select all here and then unselect. See, there's quite a bit of commodities at this level, and that's one way of doing it is by the select list from this particular attribute. You can also go into an advanced mode here, and you can do a contains on this here and write out a string, and it will see if it's within that particular item and filter based on that. If you go back here, you can do the same here. So if for my checklist here, if I was going to do olive oil and search on that, and you can see here we have olive oil. So what I can do is, actually, let's undo that, look at the all, unselect all, redo the search, and then when that comes up, just select that. So if I wanted to see a filter on olive oil in the commodity description, it's quickly filtered on both ends of these charts here. Now within each chart, you have the ability to filter on the items that are there. So we have metric tons and trade lane in here, and you can do greater than, equal to, for metric tons. If we wanted to see those over 100,000, apply the filter, reduce our list. I guess olive oil is not too heavy, so it reduced the whole thing. But that is a way to filter on for metric tons. And you can also, with anything from an attribute level, if you wanted to undo a few of these here, Asia, Middle East, and you can see that you're filtering just the chart here. You're not filtering the table over here. So you have the view level, which allows you to view, to filter on the entire view. And then for each element, you also have the ability to do some filtering there. So it gives you very good control over that. Within each chart or the elements on a particular view, you can click on it. So if I click on North Europe, I now filter this list over here to show just the ports and the TEUs that the Northern Europe trade lane supplied to the U.S. You can also see the mouse over here gives me the North Europe metric tons. If I click on the white space, it goes back and it unfilters it. The last part I want to show here is let's filter on, say, foreign port. Okay, so if I put foreign port over here, and what I can do is go up to here and create a slicer out of this. And by slicing on this, it creates a slicer. It allows me to filter all the elements on the particular all the elements on the view itself. So both the table and the chart were filtered based on that slicer. So that's the combination of control you have to filter data. You have the view and the chart control, you have the inter-slicing or the inter-chart filtering, and then you also have the ability to create slices here and land it on your dashboard. Moving on to some of the other functionality at this time. Each one of these elements here has the ability to pop out. So if you want to see a full screen based on it, you can come here and pop out. You have different level of controls with designs or styles in this particular case. You don't have the control to go in and actually tell it I want Mediterranean to be blue and North Europe to be green. It doesn't give you that level of control, but it does give you a number of pre-formatted designs here, and you can click from those and they'll change it up accordingly. So you have this was a number of, I think it was 8 originally, but now they've increased the number of available designs to work with your spreadsheets. Let me pop out back to here. What I'm going to do at this time is I'm going to save this one. Call it Report 1. Now, if you do create a PowerPivot, a PowerView dashboard, you can very easily duplicate your work. So if you come here and you've gotten your slices set up and a few things you wanted to see, and you want to have the same thing but just filtered differently, I can duplicate the view. It creates a copy of the dashboard, example 2. And instead of having foreign port here as a slicer, let's delete that. And then maybe I want to put foreign port here as a filter. And let's go back to Al Jazeera's. Where are they? Click on that. So now you have a separate chart here. And if you were given a demonstration, then you could bounce back and forth between these two without having to do the filtering there. You can have something pre-set up. Again, would be better designed than what we're showing here, but it goes to show you how to quickly create a duplicate, change it up, save it, and then go back into the user experience. So right now I've clicked on the back button, and this is taking me back to my dashboard, my PowerPivot dashboards. And we can look at that dashboard and as a user would, right? So the design has been created, and now a user goes in, and this is how a user would interact with it without actually editing it. Okay, so the first thing to note is you do have the filters that we created before. If they wanted to go in, matter of fact, let's erase that filter right now. Go back to a full view. They can interact with the filters. They can't choose the filters they want right now. So the designer has the ability to choose those filters, and then the user can come and use it. Again, you still have all your interaction. What we saw before in design mode is the same here. You can navigate between two slides, and you can have multiple views for your particular dashboards. And you can, again, pop out to see a larger view of this. And there's also full screen mode here. So if you were in a presentation, you can see you still have the navigation down below here. You can navigate full screen mode. Makes a nice presentation. If you're in your company and you're within the network, you go to the boardroom, you can give a presentation directly from your PowerPivot gallery. Now, one of the nicer elements to this is when you create one of these views, you can now download it directly to PowerPoint. And what I'm going to do here is export this. And it's going to save each one of these. Ask me for a name. And I'm going to save it. Let's overwrite this one here. So now it's saved to a PowerPoint presentation, and I can open this up. And you can see I have my dashboard directly in a PowerPoint presentation. Now I can take this and scroll this down. I can put titles in here, make comments, draw arrows pointing to the different data, and create a PowerPivot, a PowerPoint presentation. And you can add other slides here that aren't related to the dashboards and all this. It just integrates very well into PowerPoint. From here, if I run PowerPoint, and this is now in presentation mode, it gives me the ability to interact with these as if we were in the PowerPivot gallery. So now you're in a boardroom here. You've got your PowerPivot presentation, or you got your PowerPoint presentation, and you come in and you can run the slide, and you can do your slicing right in the middle of a demonstration, right in the middle of your PowerPoint presentation. So I really like the idea of being able to quickly create dashboards like this, give myself the filtering capability on it, and then bring it in and show it as part of a demonstration. Okay, I'd like to close that down. Okay, so that is functionality that applies to all of the PowerView elements in the dashboard. Now I'd like to go in and show you different capabilities, in particular the things that have come out in the recent release. The first service patch 1 was released in November of 2012, and it added a lot of functionality to the PowerView dashboards. But we'll show everything at this point that we can. And we'll start with tables and matrices. So if I go and let me try trade lane here. And this particular dashboard has a table in it. And we've shown the interaction already on this. So you have a table. I'm going to just highlight this one here. If I bring it into design mode, you can essentially drag and drop any of the elements into this, as well as any of the attributes, and then the measures as well. And then from here you can sort again on TEUs, metric tons. You can do the alphabetical sorts there. I want to quickly show the table view. It's been around a while. Very useful in terms of the interactive slicing. So if I want to look at general cargo, this is the data then for that general cargo. And again, any general cargo coming into Albuquerque, not much, but that's how you go about filtering a table and using a table within a dashboard itself. I'm going to come out of that and go into matrices, a little more interesting, and some of the things they've done with this is quite useful and works well within a particular dashboard environment. We head down to the vessel dashboard. We have a dashboard based on vessel information, and we have a matrices up top here, and what we have across the top is the months. Let's go into edit mode so I can show columns and rows. So if I click on the matrix, we have rows over here, and we've got 4 levels that we can drill down into. So the levels aren't being shown. You can show the levels if you want. We're rolling them up to show as drill down. And we have one column here, which is the year month going across the top. So we have carrier, the vessels for that carrier, the dates that they came into the ports, and then we have a URL that can go to another site. So for this particular, and then we also have the 2 metrics that we've been using here, TEUs and metric tons. And this is what it looks like at the top level. And then you can drill down into it. So if you wanted to go into this particular carrier, you can see now their vessels and their metrics for the months that they ship to the United States. Let's take a look at APL Canada. This is a ship, and this is when that particular ship came into the ports. And then if I drill down further on that, we have the URL field here. So if you flag your attribute as a URL in the tabular cube, it comes into the PowerView dashboard as a link. And if I click Control, open it up, brings us to a site that has a free search, and now we can see the ship APL Canada. It's got all this information here. You can bounce around pretty easily using a URL that has some informative information with other sites, so you can utilize that perspective as well. So the URL doesn't necessarily have to be in a matrix. We're showing it here for that purpose. It gives you that ability to drill down from carrier to vessel to ship date, and then actually show the URL and go to another site and then get useful information from that. We're also going to show in this particular slide pie charts. This is new with the SP1 release, and some of the things that you can do with pie charts. So I'll let the filter clear out for a second. So right now we're looking at US photo. I'm drilled down already. Let me drill back up. So we're looking at coast and port. So we have a drill down in a pie chart as well. It starts off with the coast, and as you can see, you can mouse over these elements here. You can cross over here on this particular commodity by month. If I click on that, you can see now the slice for that over here. So it shows that it's highlighted, and if I move over to here, I see the full slice. So we're looking at the West Coast, US West Coast, and we're getting the highlighted information, which is furniture, as a certain amount, and then if I unhighlight here, go back, gets me the full pie. Now if I drill into one of these, let's go into US East Coast. Now I'm seeing the ports for the different, for the East Coast. New York being the top one, Savannah after that. And again, you can mouse over each slice here and see their values. Okay, there are a few other things you can do. You can have vertical multiples. That would be something where you'd use the, say, the year date, year month here might be a good thing where you can go vertical multiples, and then it splits that pie chart into now 3 different ones, one from March, January, February. We'll have to find a way to sort that correctly when it comes out. So that's just some of the things you can do with the pie chart. They're visually very appealing, and I was very happy to see that it got put into the latest release. Okay, we're going to take a look at scatter chart next, and this has some animation involved with it. Very neat data visualization. And the one thing about a scatter chart that's useful is if you have 3 different measures that you want to be able to look at and get a feel for. And by that I mean, well, let me jump into this first. We have 3 metrics involved with this scatter chart. Give it a second to come up. Okay, so on the vertical here, so we're looking at a scatter chart with a number of slices below. And on the vertical here, we're looking at metric tons. On the horizontal over here, we're looking at TEU. And then also the size of the bubble itself has value. So the volume is representing the size of the bubble. So if we see certain, if these metrics have meaning to us, where if we look at these bubbles, you can see here that Asia is very high in the TEUs, very much higher than anyone else over here. And Middle East is very high on the volume, the metric tons. Asia is also very high on the volume, from particularly China and their shipping. But I can play this now, and we're looking at here below is week ending date for these 3 months worth of data. And the animation shows how it moves, how you see the bubbles grow, and the animation of different data at that time. What I'm going to do is take filter out on some of this here. We're going to remove China so that it helps us. We have trade lane here. Let's look at everything except Asia and the Middle East. Other. So by filtering out some of the higher ones, you get a little more detail then on some of the smaller ones here. And if I play this timeline, just looking at the data might reveal something. I saw something in South America already that has piqued my attention. I can take this now, drag the slider here, and I've seen that South America during the week of February 4th had a very large volume. And that you can pick out very visually as it animates through it. So it gets to show different data anomalies very quickly. I can now do another report on South America trade lane for February 4th and get an understanding as to why that particular week peaked for South America, the volume being very high. Once I do that, I can actually highlight that particular bubble. And if I highlight that and I play my timeline back again, it traces the different sizes of the bubble and the value of the data as it went through there. So again, another way to look at the data, and all of these bubbles now have mouse over values that you can look at. If we pop this out, again, you might see it a little better from this perspective here. The pop-out gives you a better view. Like the animation here, I like the idea that I can quickly see something pop out to me and say, well, that's odd. You know, now I'm going to go down a data analyst trail and find out why that particular anomaly existed. Okay, so right now let's take a look at KPIs. KPIs are new in the latest edition, and there's some work that needs to be done in order to get KPIs to work. For one, they don't have KPI in a multidimensional cube has status and trend, whereas these KPIs only have status currently. So you have to do some manipulation to create your own trends out of this. We did this quickly here just to show. Carrier market share. So we're showing here a calculated measure that calculates the market share based on TEUs for the carriers. We then create a prior month value for the same thing. So using the carrier market share, we calculate the prior month value. And our last thing here is a trend value here. So we create a trend now calculating the current month minus the prior month, and then dividing by the prior month. That's going to give us a percentage of whether or not the carrier is growing in market share or decreasing in market share. So once you have those calculated measures set up, you can create KPIs out of them. If I go into here, this is the one that does the trend for us. So we're showing here that we're using 0.02, negative 0.02. If it's lower than negative 0.02, it's red. If it's between plus and minus 0.02, 2%, then it's yellow. It hasn't moved much either way. And then if it's greater than 2%, we're going to say that the trend is trending upward. And for the status on this, we created a KPI as well. So the status here is a little more difficult to see. It's at 0.05, so it's 5% market share is considered to be good. Between 5 and 10%, I'm going to slide this over here. You can see we have 0.1, which is 10% as the upper limit, and then it was 0.05 or 5% for the lower limit. So between 0.05 and 10%, or 5 and 10%, we're considering that to be average or yellow. If it's greater than 10%, it's green or good. And if it's less than 5%, we're considering it red. So if we come back to our site, take a look at the KPIs as they're applied to it. So you'll have to do some work on these of my cube before they're available in your PowerPivot or your PowerView dashboards. You don't have much here to do calculations in the editing of the PowerViews themselves. So you have to do that in the Tabular cube, and then once that's there, you can use them. So now we're looking at our carriers here of January, February, and March. So we're in a matrix, and we've put our carrier market share values here. As you can see, everyone's trending up because we don't have December 2011 data, so everyone's gone up. But the status here, these guys are right on the bubble. They're just considered yellow because they're not over 10%. This one is green because it's 11.4. But if you're looking at these two, you're seeing here that 10 goes to 10.6, so that's trending up. They're now green as a status, but their trend is also up. Here we're going from 11.4 to 10.1. We still have a green because we're over 10%, but we're trending down, so it's red. And that's what KPIs are for. They give you a quick visual of what's going on here. And if you have status and trend together, it's very meaningful data as it goes along. So this particular one at the top here is trending up all 3 months. And one underneath it has been trending down, even to the point where they got into the yellow in terms of their status. And that's why KPIs are very useful. So you have to build them in the Tabular cube and then come into PowerView and apply them in this particular way using date and matrix is probably the best way to do so. Now let's take a look at the card feature here. And while this is warming up, in the Tabular cube you can set up a dimension to have a default set of attributes. So if your dimension has 20 attributes in there, but you want your default set to have a limited or 6 attributes. So then you can drag that dimension onto the design surface, and it creates what we're calling a card feature. And this is the card here. We're looking at right now U.S. ports. We've limited this to the U.S. ports where we actually have a logo from. And as we scroll through them, up top here you can see we're using the logo here. And what I can do is just scroll through the top and click on the icon, and then down here is the default fields that we've set up for ports. So it's a nice thing to have, particularly useful if you're product oriented. So if you're selling 100 products or so, each with an image behind it and then some details, you can put those on reports and then have the most prominent details in a card setting, allowing users to scroll through them. Okay, now let's take a look at maps. And these are Bing Maps. It's interacting with Bing, the search engine, and using their map tool. So one of the nicer features about this. Let me open up this particular one. And we're going to show trade lane and country of origin. at first. So the country of origin will be the bubbles that show up. Okay, and you can see here it's one of a number of elements here. And what it is doing is populating the map currently as the data comes in. And you have, let's make this, I'm going to go into edit so we can show some of the background here. And we're going to pop this out so we can see it a little better. So what we've done is we used as locations, you can tag your attributes in your tabular cube as cities, countries, and that's what we're using here. Essentially, we're using country of origin. We're using place of receipt as the drill down, so we're going to drill into these to go to a more detailed level on the map. And our color is being chosen by the trade lane. So the trade lane here shows up as a legend, gives you different colors. You can see this would be Asia, would be orange. You have over here the Caribbean, gives you the different trade lanes. Now if you notice, China here is outdoing everyone else, so it has a very large bubble, and everyone else is the same. So why don't we filter China out just to see the differences among the other countries. So once we remove China, you can see that the bubbles have changed size now. It gives you a little more idea of who the real players are. A lot of the Asian countries here are doing quite well. Japan, Taiwan, Canada is representing up here. You can see at a glance where the most stuff is coming from. And for import-export data, this is a nice visual. Also, we do have the place of receipt, which is kind of the origin of where the product's coming from. So a particular country has a number of different places within it where the products come from. So let's now take a look. We drilled in using the Tabular on my mouse, and let's see. It's kind of neat. We're in right now drilling like this, into all the products are coming from that get shipped out of Hungary, and each one of them has their values associated with them. So this is the Seglet, is the name of the town, and it produced 7 TEUs. This one over here is 341. You can see the bubble is much bigger. This would be very useful for a number of different reasons. Website sales. If you had even at the level, give you a lot of countries on a very granular level, produce some just to get some good analytics just out of what the region is and what they're producing. Okay, so we have one last thing we'd like to discuss with this, and that is Microsoft BI in particular. That's all the functionality right now, all the elements in PowerView that are available. And we're bringing it back here now to a Business Intelligence Center. If I go to the home page here, it shows the integration of the different things that we have. So for this particular trade industry proof of concept, we do have a performance point dashboard, which serves as our landing page here, and there's a number of things functional with that. We have standard reporting services reports integrated into the BI Center, as well as we have a lot of support features in here, because it is SharePoint, and you can use a lot of the different library types within your environment. So the idea behind the BI Center is that someone should come into their BI Center and be able to access all of their data. And for people like vice presidents and directors and those that don't want to have to get to use all the different applications that have reports embedded in them, they just want to see their data in one single location. One of the things we've worked on here with Data Ignite is we're looking at Dynamics CRM, Microsoft's Dynamics CRM tool, and Dynamics. See, that's our Dynamics CRM database. So each of these applications have databases associated with them. We also have Dynamics AX, which has a database in the background of it as well. And from those different application databases, you can bring your data into an enterprise data warehouse. And in our particular case, we did build a data warehouse off the CRM tool here and built out our dimensions and fact tables. And from there, we built out a CRM tabular cube. And we're currently working on a site to deliver CRM dashboards. So the idea behind this is we're going to integrate the CRM, we're going to integrate the ERP tool, Dynamics AX. Any other data that comes in from the websites or from finance and whatnot can be integrated into your data warehouse. From there, you can create a tabular cube. You have a connection here to a tabular cube in your BI center for this. And this is, again, this PowerPivot gallery that we're in. From there, you can create your dashboards. So what you can do then is bring all of the data for particular usage. Let's say, again, the CEO or the vice president, any of the executive level people, they want to see dashboards. They want to see some quick visual analysis instead of drilling down into the particular data. And then other people in the company might want to see more detailed level data. And we provide more within the same BI center. That particular person gets more detailed level reports and spreadsheets and the like. So we just wanted to cover that as the last part. Here is the idea behind the enterprise data warehouse. You can bring data in from all parts of the company, centralize it to your enterprise data warehouse, and then deliver it in a business intelligence center that has all your reporting needs and analysis. Okay, and that concludes our demonstration for today. I'm going to hand it back to Kathy and see if we have any questions out there. So if you have a question, please send it out.
Yes, we have a couple of questions. The first question is that I noticed that all your dashboards are running on SharePoint on-premise. Can we do the same thing with Office 365 SharePoint Online?
The last, and I'd have to check on that. We'll answer this question in more detail. We'll get it out to you. But the last I had heard is that that was not available with SharePoint 360 at this time. I believe Excel services and reports could be up there, but I will send out more information to you on that to give you that. But this is SharePoint 2010 Enterprise version, and it is on site for the BI Center.
Okay, next question. Does the user have the ability to create additional filters in the pivot dashboard, or is this limited, or is there a special permission that needs to be set?
In a pivot dashboard, I'm not sure what the question is asking at this point. From a pivot dashboard meaning, okay, I'll contact that user directly to see if I can get a better understanding of that question. Pivot dashboard, okay.
Okay. And our next question is, can we use this without SharePoint?
No, right now it is within SharePoint only. Power View in Excel 2013 or Office 2013 that's coming out later in this quarter, I believe, will allow you to embed Power View dashboards into Excel itself. So if you do have Excel 2013, it will give you that ability to have it without SharePoint.
Okay, next question. Can we get the link to the PowerPivot plugin? And yes, we'll be sending that out in an email with all the links that are related to this webinar. Next question. Are there any plans to leverage this technology in ASP.NET to use on our own sites?
That's an interesting question. I don't know enough about that in terms of integrating into ASP. Again, I can get back to you on that.
And the next question is, my data warehouse is not SQL Server. Can we still use PowerView?
Well, the answer for that is you do need to have SQL Server 2012 and tabular cubes at some point. So you can have an Oracle data warehouse that feeds into a tabular cube. So you can create tabular cubes. You do need the SQL Server 2012 license in order to produce tabular cubes, which in turn allows you to have PowerView dashboards.
that appears to be the last of the questions. So we'd like to thank everyone for attending our PowerView webinar today. We hope you found it informative. And as we said, we'll be sending out an email to everyone with a link to all the resources that we mentioned. And we're also going to be sending a brief survey so that you can provide us with feedback. And we'll also be asking what topics you'd like to see covered in future webinars. So thanks again, and hope you have a great afternoon.
Yes, thank you.